Okay, so I set that equal to 0. I solve for x by adding 4 and then dividing. You should get x equal 4/3. You good with that? Okay, now, good rule of thumb, we're looking for zeros, x-intercepts, so I'm going to write that as, since it is a graph, it's an ordered pair, so I'm going to write that as 4/3 0. Okay? All right, second one, 3x squared minus 9, g of x. What kind of equation is this? Parabola. Now, we'll come back and we're in chapter 2, we're going to be talking quadratics quite a bit. But I will just tell you, this is a parabola, has not been shifted left or right because it doesn't have an x term also, just an x squared term. It's actually still concave up. Still open up because it's a positive 3x squared. And it's dropped 9 places. All right? So it ends up having 2 x-intercepts. We can expect that. Anytime you see that x squared, you're probably going to have 2 results. So just like before, I'm going to set that equal to 0. Okay? Jocelyn, I like when I'm looking at quadratics, knowing that there's potential for factoring, quadratic formula, something like that. I like to get rid of any numbers that are in common if I can. Is there something I can divide all the way through by, guys, and simplify this one? 3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and divide that out. Divide 0 by 3, I get 0. Divide 3x squared by 3, I get x squared. Divide 9 by 3, I get 3. So I get x squared minus 3 equals 0. Is that going to factor? This doesn't have an x. If it also had an x, I'd need to do some factoring, potentially. This one, I'm just going to shift the 3 over, and I get x squared equals 3. So I added 3 to both sides. What's that? I'd need to add 3 to both sides. That's okay. That's the kind of thing ask me, because I'm not going to show every single piece like that. All right? Because I want you to do some of that in your head also. All right? So what would you do next? Square root. When you do a square root, you always want to make sure that you get your plus or minus. So x is positive, negative, radical 3. That means I have square root of 3, 0, and negative square root of 3, 0 as my ordered pairs. Okay? All right, h of x, radical. We saw one of these on the back of the assignment as some review. All right? Notice I'm coming in, I'm cleaning this up. So I set this equal to 0. Hopefully you're seeing a trend. Now, when somebody came in and I was helping them with this, they said, we're trying to decide what do you do next? And it's just solve. What would we do to start getting x by itself, do you think? Everybody agree? Get that square root by itself. So add 5 to both sides. So I would have 5 equals the square root of 2x minus 3. Okay? What next? Square both sides to get rid of the square root. So we get down to that, what the main idea is, which is a square root function. We square it. We undo that with the inverse operation. So I would have 25 equals 2x minus 3. Can you finish that up? All right, do so real quick. And I got 14. Did you get 14? 14. So 14, 0 is going to be our x-intercept. Okay, last one. What kind of function is this? It's a quadratic again. Why did I put another quadratic on there? Yeah, this one has 3 terms. It has an x squared and an x. Okay? You're looking for two answers typically. When we get back into quadratics in some depth, we'll remind you that sometimes you can just have one, sometimes you won't have any at all. All right? But we're going to set this equal to 0. Is there a number common we can divide through by? No. I'm going to write a 1x here as a placeholder because I know in this case I'm going to have to factor. There's not something common to both, so I'm going to split this up. And I'm going to reverse the idea of FOIL or distributive property, and I'm going to think, what can I multiply to get a 6x squared? 2x and 3x. All right. So I'd write that in. I want you to take about 30 seconds and see if you can finish the factoring. Okay, factoring, Algebra 2 stuff, definitely, but it's something we'll kind of keep building on, all right? I know that you have teachers that have little tricks and things, and here's what I find. If you know the trick, great. If you don't know the trick, I'm not a big fan of tricks because you forget them. Okay? So when I'm talking about looking at factoring, I think about distributing, think about FOIL, and I'm reversing that. So when I look at this, show you a couple tricks. I know I need two things that multiply to be -2. I ignore the signs initially. Okay? There's a little trial and error. Let me tell you a couple things. You will never put this 2 and 1 like that. You know why? Right here, there's a 2 in common. Would you agree? That means there would have had to have been a 2 in common there. Since there wasn't the greatest common factor there, there can't be down as a factor lower. So I'm going to reverse that. And we're going to do a little kind of educated guess and check. I'm going to put my 2 there and my 1 there. And I'm going to look at outer and inner products. That would be 4x. That would be 3x. Notice I have not thought about signs. Is there any way to combine 4x and 3x and get this positive 1x? One of them would be negative, one of them positive. Would you agree? Which one would have to be positive in order to get a positive 1x?
4.
The 4. So that means this would have to be the positive one to get a positive 4x. This one would have to be negative to get that to come out a positive 1. So that tells me this. Okay? I can check FOIL. I'm going to now take 2x minus 1, set it equal to 0, and get x equals 1/2. So that's 1/2 0. I'm going to set 3x plus 2 equal to 0 and get x equal to -2/3. So -2/3, 0. Okay? All right. So here's what this weekend's going to entail for your assignment. Are you ready? Not all of this is due. Okay? I have 2 things I want you to do this weekend with regard to this sheet. One is to go and find where it talks about zeros like we just did. Answer those questions. That should not take you 10 minutes. All right? 2, you ready? I'll put a video link talking about piecewise functions a little bit. I want you to watch that video. Okay, I'll put it on that little link. All right? So, 2 things. The problem's on zeros. here and I'll tell you which ones they are. Where it says number 5. Where it says number 5, those are the zeros. Okay? Oh, did I miss you guys? Just her? The worksheet that we went over some questions should be ready to turn in on Monday. The only thing you have to have on this complete is the zero section. Alright? And look at the video that I'm going to put on Edmodo. That way in class on Monday we can work on this. Okay? Should not take you very long. Mason. Okay. Did you get one of these?
Yep.
All right. These are all just dealing with x-intercepts.
But
Let's review.
Good.
Okay. On Friday, did you get the sheet on even odd? This was not handed out on it was handed out the day before. Several people took it the day before.
Oh, I might not.
Okay, I didn't know if you did or not. So this is what we worked on, and we started by answering questions today. All right? It's got some review of stuff we've been doing. You can look at the graph and you can answer those. There are the zeros that we were just talking about. And I will put, this is just the few that we went through. I'll put that on Edmodo for you, okay? You're welcome. Huh?
Water bottle. I'm pretty sure someone.
Just sit it over here to the side. Somebody will retrieve it, I'm sure. See you guys. Colette, see ya.
Thank you for the help.
Oh, you're welcome. Hi, guys.